Mhm. Oh, hello, friends. Mm, mm, mm. A historical overview of clinical evidence for brain asymmetries. Let's see. Let me flip the view. There it is. In 1836, Mark Dax, an obscure country doctor, read a short paper in a medical society meeting in Montpellier, France. Like most of his contemporaries, Dax was not a frequent contributor to medical conferences. In fact, this paper was to be his first and only scientific presentation. During his long career as a general practitioner, Dax had seen many patients suffering from loss of speech, known technically as aphasia. My sister had that. Following damage to the brain. She had a aneurysm. This observation was not new. Cases of sudden permanent disruption in the ability to speak coherently had been reported by the ancient Greeks. Dax, however, was struck by what appeared to be an association between the loss of speech and the side of the brain where the damage had occurred. In more than 40 patients with aphasia, Dax noticed signs of damage to the left half or hemisphere of the brain. He was unable to find a single case that involved damage to the right hemisphere alone. In other words, if he had aphasia, there's a good chance that it was on the left half of the left hemisphere, right? Mm-hmm. In his paper to the medical society, he summarized these observations and presented his conclusions. Each half of the brain controls different functions. Speech is controlled by the left half. Wow. The paper was an unqualified flop. They must have thought it was ridiculous. It aroused virtually no interest among those who heard it and was soon forgotten. That was in 1836. Dax died the following year, unaware that he had anticipated one of the most exciting and active areas of scientific inquiry of the second half of the 20th century. That would mean 1950 to 1999, right? the, the investigation of the differences between the left and the right brain. Of course, the advances have been tremendous since this book came out because this book has a date of 1981. This book is called Left Brain, Right Brain, Revised Edition. Yeah, let's look at this. So there it is. So this is the left hemisphere. And this is the right hemisphere. It's got there's a motor area, a sensory area. The other side does too. And so if you're going to move your left hand, you're going to be connected to the right side. So they're crossing somehow, somewhere. How's that done? Where is it crossing? Is it crossing right under the brain? Motor control and sensory pathways between the brain and the rest of the body are almost completely crossed. Each hand is served primarily by the cerebral hemisphere on the opposite side. So, isn't that amazing? An amazing discovery in 1836 that was completely ignored. The, the scientist presented a paper on it. It was completely ignored, and the following year he died. 1836. And it took another, who knows, 1836. Oh, let's say, let's say 60, 100 years, maybe. 120 years, maybe, when I started thinking about these things. So that was Mark Dox, an obscure country doctor. So he presented a short paper at a medical society meeting in Montpellier, France. So he was just a general practitioner. He'd seen many cases of aphasia. Maybe they didn't call it aphasia back then. He saw more than 40, or in more than 40 patients, he saw that they had damaged the left half of, of the brain, and that affected their communication ability. They couldn't speak hardly anymore. My sister overcame it through neuroplasticity, through well, it's not completely recovered, you could say, but she did tremendous improvement over many years. So she gets some words confused. So there you go. This is the left brain, right brain. So the authors in this book investigate the new and often dramatic developments that have taken place in the field during the 4 years since the book's first edition, Left Brain, Right Brain. So this is the second revised, the revised edition. In 4 years, there was tremendous change or developments, dramatic developments. They got a chance to revise the book, added a new chapter on the effects of brain injuries on language, perception memory, emotion, new evidence suggesting a link between left-handedness and the occurrence of autoimmune disorders. The result of recent research on biomedical and metabolic differences between the hemispheres and evidence concerning the relationship between autism, and hemispheric asymmetry. So this book is arranged chronologically. Left brain, right brain is organized around the investigative approaches and contains an appendix presenting a basic review of neuroanatomy, making the book accessible to a reader with little or no previous exposure to the field. Oh, this is an utter delight, this book. So we'll be looking at it off and on. I wish I could speed read it because I wish I'd have read it beforehand. Because last Sunday, this past Sunday, we went over the book, The Emperor and the Emissary. Is that the name of the book? By what's his name? McGilchrist? Emperor and his Emissary? Something like that. Let me see. Let's look it up. Is it Emperor? And Emissary? Emissary? I don't know. I can't. It doesn't come up. Am I saying it right? The King and the Emissary? Uh, Ma- McGilchrist. Ian McGilchrist? Uh, Ian McGilchrist. Perspectives on the nature of reality to inform systematic change. Dr. Ian is spelled IAIN, McGilchrist. We are living in a deluded world. Finding videos on YouTube. He even talks with Jordan Peterson. Let's see. Oh, it's called The Master and His Emissary. Yes. Oh boy. Talks with Jordan Peterson on it. So I I wish I could absorb all that they've discovered. Uh the book that he wrote. I have it on Audible, but it's pretty big. Let's see. So there you go. That's just going through YouTube. You find many videos. On let's see. Well, he looks something like that. Oh, hello. I'm Patrick Stewart. No, that's not him. Did you know that? In April, uh, we are living in a deluded world. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming through the rain on this evening. I am so delighted with our guest who's going to be talking to us tonight. Last week or a couple of weeks ago, we had Nick Cave, the rock star here, had a really interesting and surprising evening. Tomorrow we have a comedy night. So we are really catering to all tastes here at the Unheard Club. Dr. McGilchrist is correct in suggesting that doctors, surgeons in particular, that's what I'm reading here. Surgeons in particular need to understand that the body is holistic. I've been the victim of their short-sightedness. One of the most fascinating talks ever. Thank you, Dr. McGilchrist. What a very profound explanation about why we are living in an age desperately lacking in wisdom. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. The people in charge are like a gang of schoolboys who have been given the keys to the tuck shop. How they have got away with for so long boggles both sides of my mind. Government officials worldwide have been schooled in these ideas for at least 2 decades. McGilchrist is rather late to the party. Spiritual psychologists and philosophers set up training schools to teach this stuff to them long ago, and they were very popular. They went into greater depth than discussed here. This is a clunky version of some fine ideas. I don't know which specific government you're referring to, but it certainly doesn't reflect mine. Perhaps you would like to name them and show how these ideas are reflected in their political arguments. All I see is unconscious bias training, which is not actually about left and right hemisphere, but about indoctrination with the very flawed and biased critical race theory. Uh, and this is the typical comment out of pure ignorance. If you need to ask that kind of nonsensical question about an extremely obvious situation, there's simply no hope for you. Always know when a person has lost the argument when they resort to ad hominem attacks. Yes, please promote his book in a simple to understand script. Ordinary people are mostly uneducated. International bunch need to understand English, then the science behind it all. Basically, castration solution to revive the right brain balance. You voted for the people in charge. That's how they became in charge. Hmm. Oh, the people in charge are like a gang of schoolboys who have been given the keys to the truck shop, the tuck shop. How they've got away from it for so long boggles my mind. Mr. McGilchrist is like a breath of fresh air to my jaded senses. This book would be a good guidance for any political scientist. I would like to thank Dr. Ironing for giving his time and to attend this talk. I know how precious time is as we get near the edge of the circuit. And then this guy says government officials worldwide have been schooled in these ideas for at least 2 decades. McGilchrist is rather late to the party. Spiritual psychologists and philosophers set up training schools to teach this stuff to them long ago, and they were very popular. They went into greater depths than discussed here. This is a concrete version of some of the ideas. Says this guy named Ma Myth Tree. Let's see. Does he have a web? Uh, any? No, nothing. So I'm going to listen to that conversation. I think. I think I can. I'll try to. I'll try to listen to that interview. So I just wanted to put that out. So I hope this benefits somebody. Let's see. What? How do I get out of this? Oh, okay. Oh, I'm gonna say bye. I'm gonna say bye. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Wait a minute. Hmm. Can't seem to put the. Oh, there we go. So there. So I'm starting to study this subject, left and right brain, the master and his emissary, things like that. See how it goes. Thanks for watching.